This is Talking Experience Analytics with a decent beer in a shed. And this is a beautiful vanilla ice cream pastry stout from Somerset Geniuses Yonder. And I've got it in a Halloween appropriate glass from the Czech craft beer bar Mad Scientist. Crumbly. One bad apple can spoil the entire barrel. Or in other words, how a very simple experience analytics data point can tell you an entire story about produce handling quality. Now, that very small experience analytics observation is very straightforward. Walk past the displays of apples in your store and count the number of bad ones. Don't audit it, don't pick them up and go through, just count with your eye exactly as a customer would see it. So all those with blemishes, with cuts, with bruises, whatever. Also, pace the entire produce area, because that gives you a delta between the size of the produce area and the incidence of bad apples. Now, in one store on its own, kind of interesting but not very useful. But with just those two little tiny data points, you can determine the entire fleet's ability and quality of fresh produce handling. Why apples? Well, apples are a high basket item. They're in many customers' purchase, so they're very, very common. It's something most customers are going to experience at some point. With those two data points, first thing you can do is do exactly the same exercise in your direct competitors. Go out to your nearest stores, do exactly the same thing, covertly, and then what you have is a comparison data set. And that data set has in it the size of those produce areas and the incidence of bad apples within them. And you can work out very quickly whether or not you're on par, above, or behind that competitor. Really straightforward. But it starts to get magical when you do an entire fleet. Do exactly the same thing across the entire fleet, and what you have at the end of that is a map of produce handling standards across the entire company. And here's the awesome thing. One store stands out because it's got a bad score. That store has a problem with its produce handling, so you can fix it. What if there's a cluster, 5 or 6 stores in the same kind of area? Well, then you know you've got a regional distribution centre problem and you can fix it. What if all your stores are below the standard of your main competitor? Then you know you've got a project to work on. You know that you're likely to be disappointing more customers more often than that competitor. And let me tell you, a customer gets home with a bad apple. It doesn't destroy the barrel, it destroys your promise that you made to that customer to give them the best fresh produce they can possibly have. So 2 tiny experience analytics data points, massive actionable insight. Cheers.